People who have had friends stab you in the back. What is the story? My husband and I, had a friend that we helped get back on his feet. Paid off some tickets he had. Got his license reinstated. Hooked him up with a solid connection for a reasonable, well-running car to replace his beater. And gave him a place to live and a job, automotive repair. He decided it was a better choice to tell all our customers we were overcharging them. Spoiler. We weren't, and had do the jobs cheaper if they'd bring it to him at his house. This was a short time after he moved out of our house. After never repaying anything he owed us. Not that wet asked. Broke my heart. I had a best friend that I knew for 16 years. She got pregnant and her parents tried to kick her out. Her parents wanted her to get an abortion but she refused. One of our HS friends told me someone should push her down a flight of stairs so she can miscarry. I told her that's a very bad idea and defended my best friend. The next day, the principal came by my class to ask me if I could attend a meeting about something important. If I didn't attend, I was going to be expelled. When I arrived at the meeting, our shared friend claimed I was going to shove my best friend down flights of stairs so she can miscarry. My best friend believed her. We stopped talking after that. Friend told me they weren't doing anything for their birthday. On the day of their birthday, photos appeared on Facebook of them out with the rest of our friends. They're not my friends anymore. I booked a table for 6 people to watch a sports event at a bar. I tell them so. All 5 friends say okay, we will be there. No one shows up or even has the decency call or text that they were not coming. Made plans to go see a movie with my friends for my 16th birthday and planned it weeks in advance. Everybody bailed the day before but I decided to still go see the movie. Ran into my whole group of friends leaving the movie theater while buying popcorn. Had a good bud of mine, who's the godfather of my son, living with me and my wife. I travel a lot for work, and was out of the country for about 6 months in the Middle East. Came back and found out she was pregnant, with twins, and that they weren't mine. He accused me of sexually assaulting his younger sister who was basically my little sister too. At the time. It's completely false and it's the most mind-boggling thing that's ever happened to me. Asked 2 of my friends if they wanted to live together in college. Then one of them asked another person in our friend group if he wanted to join in as well. Then they asked another, and another. And then once there were too many people for one apartment, they dropped me out of it. No longer friends with any of them. Was kinda a wake-up call though, because I definitely gave way too much of myself to those people, not knowing that I was the most expendable one. It really taught me not to put others on a pedestal and respect myself more, and has since led to me developing far more healthy relationships that bring me a lot of happiness. My best friend since 4th grade. Called her my soul sister. I genuinely was so grateful to have what I thought our friendship was. She fell on hard times, got weirdly religious, and stopped working while going to a private uni. I was always there for her. Shoulder to cry on. Visited her all the time because she didn't have any friends and I knew she was lonely. Helped her with groceries and rent. Helped her family out. One day she came over and after buying her groceries, she told me a higher power has been telling her to cut me off for 2 years and she had to listen. Now she wants to be friends again. It's a hard nope from me, dog. In 7th grade she wrote a 10-page letter on all the reasons I should kill myself. And had all but one of my friends sign an agreement after I confided in her that I felt like something was wrong with me. Early undiagnosed depression, go figure. The day she gave it to me was arguably the worst day of my life at the point, because my parents told my sister and I that they were considering divorce. And my grandmother died. I had one friend. I was bullied by everyone at elementary school. Because my friend would be bullied too when they hung out with me at school. We only played outside of school. One day a popular kid asked to play with me during recess. I was ecstatic. Until after a while they said, "You're not as bad as friends said you are." And that's how I learned why I was bullied. Never lend a friend money, especially if they still haven't paid you back from anything else they owe you. for several years. I was best friends with 2 other girls in my elementary school. We always hung out together at school and outside of school. When I was 10, I befriended a nice boy in my class and rumors started circling that he was my boyfriend. He was not. However, they got jealous that I was spending time with him and befriended some kids who liked to tease me. Then, word got around that I had started my period, and apparently this was hilarious and also conclusive proof that I could no longer be friends with them. So one day after school, those girls and their new friends ganged up on me and tried to beat me up to signal the end of our friendship. Then, when I was 11, I attended a new school, and I became friends with these girls who were really nice to me. I was the only foreigner in the class and it was a bit difficult for me to adjust. So I was grateful that some students were being welcoming. They invited me to a sleepover to celebrate one girl's birthday. And they sexually assaulted me by groping me and trying to forcibly undress me despite my protests. Obviously, I was massively disturbed. And after that, kept my distance. Then they had the audacity to ask why I was ignoring them. I don't know. Because you clearly have no respect for me or my bodily autonomy. When you have multiple instances of friends harming you and betraying your trust during a pivotal point in your childhood, it seriously damages your ability to connect with others or maintain a healthy self-image. Grew up going to the same church and met my friend and her family when I was 14. We grew up together, hung out, and our families would be together all the time. Fast forward many years and I am dating a guy that I fell in love with for almost 3 years at the time. He went to ND to the oil fields for work. I went to visit him and could tell something was off a bit. Took the train from my town to Williston, 22 hours to get there. Visited him for 5 days, and on the last day he gets up and goes to shower. I grab his phone. We had an open policy with each other that either could be on each other's phones. I found the emails between my friend and him. My family still hangs out with her family and her. I refuse to be around or speak to her. If this counts, but it hurt. In HS I had who I thought was my best friend. Almost inseparable. Our favorite band at the time was Good Charlotte and they were on tour. She got tickets and forced a third-party friend who didn't even like them to go with her instead of me. Not saying she owed me. But if it was me, I would take my best friend who likes the band instead of someone who doesn't want to be bothered. It always sat wrong with me. Been very good friends for over 2 years. Their roommate moved out and they asked me if I want to move into their spare room. I was very happy to live with my good friends and I did everything I could to be the best roommate possible. After 3 weeks they found another source of income and kicked me out. First, they offered to help me find another accommodation, but the next day they changed their mind and just told me to leave by the end of the month. It was 7 days until the end of the month. They didn't spoke to me ever since. When we met somewhere in town they acted like they never seen me before. I have no ducking idea what I did wrong. Told a friend a secret: in high school I suffer from major depression and social anxiety. Don't tell anyone. I'm seeing a therapist. That took a lot for me to say. I was making progress. Friend proceeded to tell the entire class. People thought I was crazy. That's high school. I stopped being friends with a few friends I had. I was more alone. I graduated high school with 0 friends. Thanks. Don't worry though. In college I blossomed into a bearded man with no fears. Life has been swell ever since. I have Asperger's and as a result I seem to attract narcissists. Both my best friend in high school and my first wife were narcissists. My wife and I were having issues and we decided to try a trial separation. My high school friend slept with my wife 2 days after we separated. At the time I thought it was a backstabbing. But years later realized it was a gift, as I had a reason to cut 2 toxic people out of my life. I was taking a culinary class with my buddy and he walked behind me with a knife and didn't say anything. I stepped back and got mildly stabbed in the lower back. After 10 years of friendship you think you know a guy. A woman I thought was my friend, we worked together for years. Our kids were friends. I helped her and her husband out when he was having mental health problems. She was in my sister's wedding party. appeared in court as a witness for my ex-wife in her bid to gain full custody. Thankfully she failed and I now have custody of my kids. I haven't spoken to my friend since. Her BF sexually assaulted me and she told me that she needed space. Never talked to her again. At the beginning of summer going into high school, my two friends and I were left alone at my buddy's house. We snuck into his parents' liquor cabinet and all tasted some vodka. Being that it was my first time tasting hard liquor, I took one sip and instantly disliked it. I decided to not drink anymore because it was gross. One of my friends started pounding shots even though it was his first time drinking. He had maybe 4 shots and started feeling tipsy. We proceeded to marvel at his drunken self for the rest of the night. Fast forward 2 weeks and I'm riding in the car with my mom. She begins to ask me if I have anything I want to tell her, and like any 13-year-old in my position I said no. She then goes on a rant about how disappointed she is in me for drinking alcohol at my friend's house and proceeds to ground me for basically the entire summer. Come to find out, my friend who got drunk started feeling guilty and told his mom what he did. He was a spoiled kid and his mom didn't punish him, while I on the other hand got grounded for taking one sip. Strict parents, man. Friend was really close with me and my girlfriend. Friend was my girlfriend's confidant while we were dating. I trusted friend because he was a good guy up to that point. Friend was constantly pitting her against me, making bigger deals out small stuff, saying I was mistreating her by not being with her constantly cause I was working a full-time job while in school. Girlfriend cheats on me with friend. Friend tried to turn everyone against me. Only person who still associates with friend is girlfriend, and they're getting married in the next few months. Oh boy. I had this friend who I used to shoot my guns with all the time. We were out in a field one day shooting my Mosin and this dumbass notices a deer and decided, hey, I should shoot that. So what does the duckhead do? Poached a deer with my gun. Had a game warden show up at my house a week later asking about it. And I just ended up telling him the truth. Luckily he didn't confiscate my rifle. Went right over to Duckhead's house and told him to get bent. Haven't talked to him since. I decided to be friends with this girl that was crying. Was okay at first. Then she started to show signs of being crazy. She wouldn't let me hang out with anyone else, and when I said that I would be right back, I had to use the bathroom, she started to cry and say that I would leave her. I, being naive AF, decided to stay with her. This continued until she literally punched one of my friends cause I decided to hang out with him for a day instead of her. I tried to break it off, but then she wouldn't let me. She eventually threatened to kill me and our parents got involved. The principal too.